Good morning, everybody. It's Marcia from Oils and Wellness with Marcia, and we're about a fourth way through the book on ULA, finding balance in the unbalanced world. And today I'm going to be talking to you on the 20 seconds of courage, and the girl that wrote that is Angela Cardinal. It says, "Why am I not happy?" I thought to myself as I drove home from work. I had a great husband, a good job, a roof over my head, and food on the table. My daily commute was an hour each way. I used this time to take inventory of everything that was bad in my life and needed to find the source of my anxiety and stress. Could it be my student loans? Was it my job? As a special education teacher, taking care of children with autism and behavioral issues was stressful and at times dangerous. Was that it? As I stared at the bumper to bumper traffic in front of me, I smirked as I thought, maybe this is just commute. That night, as I was getting into bed, I noticed the ULA book sitting on the nightstand. While it had been there for 6 months, I just hadn't found the time to read it. Now that sounds like me. That's why I'm reading this book now and sharing it with you guys. And it's doing me wonders. Maybe the answer is in this book, I thought to myself, and picking it up and brushing off the dust, which I didn't have dust on mine, but anyway, but brushing off the dust. As I started to read, I realized I wanted to learn more. The book specified this often unfulfilling, life-changing life, unfulfilling thing called life. I even downloaded the audiobook the next morning and listened to it on my commute. I listened to it over and over, hoping to find the answer to how I was feeling. As the months passed, I felt more moments of peace, but the anxiety and stress remained. I started to dig deeper into ULA by watching the ULA guys on Facebook Live. One day, when I was watching, they announced the ULA Palazzo in Lexington, Kentucky. In my heart, I knew I needed to go. That evening, I talked to my husband, Jess, about me going to ULA Palazzo. We looked at our finances to see if we could make it to make it work. We looked at flights, but they were beyond our budget. We lived in North Minnesota, and for fun, I typed Lexington, Kentucky into the Maps app on the iPhone, and it responded 14 hours and 36-minute drive time. Wow. We figured out what we figured that out that if I drove straight through and wouldn't need a hotel, and if I packed my own drinks and sandwiches in the cooler, I could save money on food. The math worked, and I bought the ticket. I hoped in the I hoped in my Here comes my husband, so excuse his noise when he comes in. He'll realize I'm in a video. I hopped in my 2005 Ford Taurus with 180,000 miles on it and headed south to Kentucky. Next to me in the passenger seat was a cooler packed with tortilla wrapped in bananas and peanut butter and ham and Swiss sandwiches, bottled water and soda. The the budget was tight and the ride bumpy and long and the food very average, but I was excited. Over 15 hours later, I pulled up to my motel at the bad side of the town, complete with the strip strip club next door, and perfectly timed emergency vehicles with sirens blaring. Wow. Almost as if to welcome my arrival. I quickly understood why it had been so cheap. The next day, I found myself sitting nervously front and center in the Ula Palazzo. On the afternoon of day one, the Ula guys started talking about their process of writing down dreams and goals for the 7 keys of our life, the 7 F's of Ula that I've been talking about. When we got to the 6th F, friends, Dr. Troy asked us to write down our top 3 to 5 friends. The people who spent the most headspace on. Then he asked us to look at each name and write down our first reaction to that friend. What are you when are you are ready? I'm sorry. When you read each name, he asked, how do you feel? Going through the exercise, I got to the 3rd name on my list, Megan. Right there and then, I simply lost it. I knew immediately that all my stress and anxiety, my sadness, all of it stemmed off of that one name. I had met Megan 6 years earlier through college friend Drew. Drew was a close friend of my husband and me, and Megan was his new girlfriend. She soon became Drew's wife and one of my best friends. We were even in each other's weddings. As couples, we did everything together. She was the one friend I talked to every day, and we hung out whenever we could. So how could the best friend be the source of all your stress and anxiety? How could she be the reason for the tears flooding into paper in front of me? Because she had an affair. She left Drew and created so much pain in the wake of our choices. I was so angry with her, yet I didn't know how to handle it. When Dr. Dave saw that I was crying, he walked over and asked if he could help. I told him the whole story. He simply looked at me and suggested that one of the goals of friends might be to forgive Megan and to let her go from your life. You don't have to agree what she did, but you cannot continue to carry that burden and toxicity, he said. With sadness, I wrote down in my Ula journal, forgive Megan and release her as a friend. Following Ula Plazo, I was exhausted as I got into my Taurus for a long road trip back to Minnesota. I realized I wouldn't have a lot of windshield time to reflect on my life. My trip north wasn't filled with excitement and anticipation like the trip south had been. It was filled with fear and worry. How was I going to tell Megan that she hurt me and that I didn't want to be friends anymore? Was she going to be upset? Would I be able to get over this? How would this affect my husband's relationship with Drew? Was it the right thing for me to do? I was having second thoughts. When I rolled into Chicago, I pulled over to take a break along Navy Pier. I sat there looking out over Lake Michigan, eating a sandwich from my cooler. On the trails of the lake, I noticed all the people. I noticed all the people walking in the spring sunshine and hanging out along the water. They looked so happy. I remember thinking, I wanted to have happy in my life again, too. In that moment, I decided not to wait until I got back to Minnesota, but to call Megan right away. During Ula Palazzo, the Ula guys had asked us to identify the one thing that was holding us back from making the necessary changes in our lives. They had challenged us to find 20 seconds of courage to handle it, resolve it, or release it. I found my 20 seconds and I made the call. Somewhere during the candid conversation with Megan, I felt the weight lift, the anxiety ease, and my heart open to happiness once again. I hung up the phone and called Drew, her ex-husband, to tell him what I had did. "We're there for you," I said, knowing my husband would have said the same. "We'll help you are through this terrible time. We'll help you through this terrible time." And that is what we did. Over the next couple of months, as the distance from Megan became greater, our friendship with Drew grew closer. I started to see positive changes in all of our lives, and Drew forgave Megan and started the process of moving on. By removing a toxic relationship and showing forgiveness, I felt happy again. My mind was clear, and I was looking forward and starting to work with my ULA goals. I got a new job closer to home. We got our debt under control, and in a moment of pure joy, I found out that I was pregnant with our first child. With all the positive changes happening, I didn't think life could get any better. But I soon found out that random gifts in the mailbox can do. But I soon found out what a random gift in the mailbox can do. As I went outside to collect the mail, like I did every day, I noticed a coral-colored envelope. It was addressed to me, but it didn't have a return address in the corner. Excuse me. I quickly unsealed it and opened up the card, then skipped to the signature to see who had sent it. It was from Drew, and he wrote, "There is nothing I could ever say that could express how much our friendship means to me. It's not much, but I want to let you know that I bought you tickets for the next Ula Palazzo. It's a gift, so you can't object. Please accept it as the same token of what you and Jess have done for me. Love, Drew." I cried happy tears. Letting go of toxic friend was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. But by letting go, I opened my heart up to be happy again, and it feels good. Unless you're staring at your reality TV show and you need drama for rates and a renewal for another season, your life and your time are too valuable to waste on drama-prone and toxic-filled relationships. The old saying, "You are who you hang out with," is so true. If you see toxicity in your inner circle, start now and clear it up and make room for endeavoring friendships and mentors who can create a healthy environment for you, as well as lifelong memories. Tomorrow I will continue on the book with another title. It's called "Don't Give Up on Girls Weekend" by Angela Fredrickson. So if you have any questions about today's, please leave it in a comment. Or any concerns or happiness, sorrow, even if you're mad. Whatever you want to say, just say hi. I appreciate some comments in the comment section. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. Ta-ta.